This story is titled, Accidentally Discovered My Girlfriend's Chat with Her BFF About Using Me to Pay for the Wedding, Met with Nothing But Laughing Emojis. I silently smiled at this revelation, pretended to be in love, then vanished on ceremony day. Now her friend is begging me to return as she's on the verge of breakdown. Hey Reddit, I'm Thomas, 29 years old, and until recently, I was engaged to Madison, who's 26. We'd been together for 3 years and engaged for 1. I thought I knew her. I thought we had something real. Turns out I couldn't have been more wrong. I own an architectural consulting business that I built from scratch. It's not particularly glamorous, but it makes good money, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. When Madison and I got engaged, I decided to give her the dream wedding she always talked about. We settled on a budget of around $80,000 all in, money I'd been saving for years. I genuinely thought she was worth every penny. Last Thursday evening, we were having a cookout at our place. Nothing fancy, just some friends hanging out in the backyard. I was manning the grill, feeling pretty good about life. At one point, I ran inside to get more drinks from the basement fridge. That's when I heard them through the kitchen window. Madison was sitting at the garden table with her 2 best friends, Hannah and Victoria. They were right below the window, and Madison's voice came through crystal clear. God, I can't wait to be done with all this. I froze, my hand on the fridge door. The consulting thing was cute at first, she continued, but imagine telling people your husband works from home for a living. All 3 of them burst into laughter, and I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. At least he's paying for the whole wedding, Hannah said. That's something. Yeah, and he's not completely horrible to look at, Victoria added. But what's the long-term plan here? Madison's voice got lower, but I could still hear every fucking word. He's just a stepping stone, honestly. Once the wedding's paid for and everything's done, I'll give it a year max. My cousin's a divorce lawyer. Says I could probably get decent alimony since he owns his own business. More giggling followed. My stomach turned as I stood there paralyzed. You're so bad, Hannah squealed. But smart bad. Did you see his face when you picked that $6,000 dress? Oh my God, yes, Victoria chimed in. He looked like he was going to pass out. But he still said yes because he's desperate to keep me, Madison said. I could practically hear the eye roll in her voice. The other day he actually suggested we do a consulting presentation at the reception. Can you imagine? I shut that down real quick. Told him my dad would be embarrassed. The irony? Her dad's an electrician. We've had beers together multiple times, and he actually loves hearing about my business ideas. But seriously, Madison continued, 2 more months of playing the perfect bride, then a year of playing house, and I'm out. Maybe I'll meet someone at the country club where we're having the reception. Those membership fees must mean something, right? I stood there like a statue, listening to them tear apart everything I'd built. My business that I created from nothing. My downtown apartment that I bought myself. Even the engagement ring I'd saved for months to afford. The ring's decent, though, Hannah remarked. You could probably sell it after. Nah, I'll keep it, Madison replied. Trophy of my starter marriage. All of them burst out laughing again. Somehow, I managed to keep my cool. I grabbed the drinks and walked back outside, continuing to grill like nothing was wrong. I felt like I was in some kind of surreal nightmare, but I kept it together. Madison came over a few minutes later and wrapped her arms around me from behind. Her classic move when she wants something expensive. She started talking about videographers. Apparently, the expensive one she had been eyeing had a cancellation. Whatever you want, babe, I said, forcing myself to kiss her cheek. She beamed at me, probably thinking she had me wrapped around her finger. My hands were slightly shaking while flipping burgers, but she didn't notice. She was too busy planning her exit strategy. The rest of the party felt surreal. I watched Madison put on a show, because that's what it was, a performance. The way she touched my arm when telling people about our plans, how she gushed about my business to my friends while shooting knowing looks at Hannah and Victoria. 3 years of memories were rewriting themselves in my head as I stood there, smiling and nodding like everything was fine. But here's the thing. I'm not some pushover who's going to cry about this for months. I've spent my life building things from nothing. I started my business with just a laptop and my dad's old office supplies. I learned every lesson the hard way. And now I was going to teach Madison a lesson about underestimating people. I already started documenting everything that evening. The full wedding expenses were all coming from my personal savings. I began saving text messages where she told her friends about her plans. The venue contract was in my name. Everything was being cataloged. The wedding was scheduled for 2 months from now. Most deposits were refundable up to 30 days before the event. I had some ideas about how this was going to play out, but I needed to be smart about it. Strategic. She wanted to play games? Fine, I'd play. But she was about to learn that this stepping stone was actually going to be the rock that sinks her whole plan. In the meantime, I needed to go look at videographer portfolios with my loving fiancé. 2 weeks later, things had escalated quickly. I'd been documenting everything while pretending that everything was normal. What I discovered was insane. Last night was the breaking point. I was sitting in our kitchen when Madison started FaceTiming with Hannah. She completely forgot I was there. Or maybe she just didn't care. She had her AirPods in, but I could hear every word she was saying. God, Thomas is so clueless, Madison laughed. He just transferred another $92,000 for the catering deposit. Can you believe this idiot actually sold his project house to pay for my dream wedding? I kept quiet, recording everything on my phone. Then she dropped this bomb. Once this is done, I'll have the perfect Instagram wedding to launch my influencer career. Who needs an architect husband when you can leverage a fancy wedding into something better? Oliver from marketing has already been DMing me about potential opportunities. My hands were shaking, but I maintained my composure. This wasn't just about the money anymore. She was already lining up her next target while spending my savings. The next morning, I started executing my plan. First, I went to our venue and had a heart-to-heart with the manager, Charlotte. I showed her the texts and recordings. She was disgusted and agreed to help me. We decided to keep the venue booked, with her holding the deposit in escrow. If Madison tried to take over the booking after I left her at the altar, she was in for a surprise. Then something interesting happened. Madison's sister Olivia reached out to me privately. Turns out she had suspected something was off about her sister for a while. She showed me screenshots of Madison's private Instagram story where she had been posting hints about upgrading her life and using what you've got to get what you want. Thomas, I love my sister, Olivia told me over coffee. But what she's doing is wrong. She's been like this since high school, using people and discarding them. I'll back you up when everything goes down. The hardest part of all this was acting normal. Yesterday, Madison threw a fit because I suggested scaling back the flower budget. She screamed about how I was ruining her special day and stormed out to stay with Hannah. The old me would have apologized and given in, but instead, I used the time alone to make some strategic moves. I contacted all the vendors and explained the situation. Most were surprisingly understanding, and I got agreements in writing to refund deposits. I moved my savings to a new bank account she didn't know about and found all the receipts for wedding expenses, almost $25,000 spent so far. While searching for insurance papers, I discovered something else. Madison had been secretly filming wedding planning content for a future YouTube channel called Madison's Luxury Life, while telling me she wanted a private, intimate ceremony. The real kicker? I found her diary. Yes, she still keeps one, hidden in her desk drawer. The things she'd written about me were heartbreaking. Thomas is so pathetically in love with me, he'll never see it coming. And his stupid house renovation hobby had to go anyway. Who wants to be married to a guy who spends weekends working on buildings? She came home the next morning, acting like nothing had happened, talking about cake tastings and tablecloth colors. I smiled and nodded, knowing that in 6 weeks she'd learn what it feels like to lose everything you've invested in. There were some developments I didn't expect. Her friend Victoria reached out to warn me. Too late, honey. Madison apparently had a history of doing this. My sister caught Madison flirting with Oliver at the coffee shop. Madison had been telling people I was controlling because I wanted to see the vendor contracts. She'd even bought a backup dress with my credit card, which I immediately disputed. I've got everything documented. Photos, videos, screenshots, receipts. The wedding's still on track as far as she knows, but I've got something special planned for the big day. No violence, no crazy scenes, just pure calculated comeuppance. The best part? She's been pushing to add more expensive touches. It's just a few thousand more, she keeps saying. Little does she know those contracts are in her name now. When I don't show up, she'll be on the hook for every penny. I've stopped wearing my engagement ring when she's not around. It's a small thing, but it helps remind me that I'm almost free. 6 more weeks of playing the eager groom, then she'll learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. It's the morning of the wedding now. At 6 a.m., I made my coffee and sent the mass text I'd prepared weeks ago. A simple video compilation of Madison's conversations with Hannah and Victoria, discussing their stepping stone plan, screenshots of their group chat joking about upgrading to richer guys after the wedding. I sent it to both our families, the wedding party, and our closest friends. Then I turned off my phone and went to the gym. By the time I got back home around 9 a.m., all hell had broken loose. My sister Olivia was blowing up my backup phone, the one only she knew about, with live updates from the church. "OMG, bro," Olivia texted. "Madison's mom is screaming at her in the bridal suite, like full-on banshee mode. Keeps yelling, 'How could you be so stupid to get caught?' Not even mad about what Madison did, just that she got exposed." I sat on my couch, drinking my protein shake, watching everything unfold through Olivia's texts. Madison first tried claiming the video was edited or taken out of context. That defense crumbled fast when Victoria, trying to save her own reputation, immediately threw Madison under the bus and confirmed everything in the family group chat. The best part? Madison had convinced her parents to put their credit cards down as backing for non-refundable deposits, promising to pay them back with our wedding money. They were out almost $350,000. Guess they shouldn't have trusted their daughter's get-rich-quick scheme. Around 10 a.m., Madison started calling me from different numbers. I didn't answer, but the voicemails she left were epic. "Baby, please, they don't understand our love. I was just joking with the girls. You can't do this to me. Do you know how much money my parents spent?" And then the threat. "I swear to God, Thomas, if you don't show up, I'll tell everyone you abused me." That last threat was particularly stupid since I'd been recording all our interactions for the past 2 months, just in case. I had prepared for this exact scenario. My favorite message came from Hannah. "You ruined her life. She had everything planned. She was going to get you to buy a house, then divorce you and get half in the settlement. Thanks for the confession, genius. That'll be useful if this ever goes to court." By 11 a.m., Olivia was reporting total chaos at the church. Half the guests had left. Madison's dad was having a meltdown about the credit card charges. Her mom was still screaming, but now at the wedding planner, demanding refunds. Hannah and Victoria tried to sneak out but got cornered by Madison's aunts, who are apparently very invested in the family's reputation in their community. The best moment? Madison, in her $7,000 dress that I secretly canceled payment for last week, running out to the parking lot screaming my name, mascara running down her face. She tried to drive to my house but forgot her car was at the salon. Olivia got video footage of her bridesmaids awkwardly piling her giant dress into an Uber. Priceless. I did feel a tiny bit bad for the guests who had traveled far, so I'd arranged for the reception venue to serve the food anyway, just as a regular lunch. No wedding stuff. Most people actually went and apparently had a great time gossiping about what had happened. The open bar probably helped. By 6 p.m., my phone had 145 missed calls, mostly from Madison's family. Her cousin kept texting that Madison was totally breaking down and needed closure. Yeah, well, I needed a faithful fiancé, not a gold digger planning to rob me blind. The only slight hiccup in my plan was when Madison's cousin Ben showed up at my house, trying to act tough. I just replayed the video of Madison mocking his recent divorce on my doorbell camera. He left pretty quickly after that. I know some people might think leaving someone at the altar is cruel, but you know what's crueler? Planning to exploit someone's love for financial gain. Playing with their trust and future just to fund your lifestyle upgrade. At least I gave her the wedding day drama she clearly wanted, just not the kind she had planned. Tomorrow, I'm heading to my mountain cabin for a week. Olivia's handling the fallout with family. She's enjoying it way too much, to be honest. I've blocked Madison everywhere, but kept her sister's number active, partly to stay informed. Partly because watching Madison's perfect plan implode is oddly satisfying. Oh, and those wedding ring photos Madison posted all over Instagram? The diamond was cubic zirconia. I switched it months ago when I first overheard her plan. She spent 6 weeks bragging about her perfect 3-carat diamond to all her friends. I hope she didn't try to get it appraised for resale value. It's been 1 week since I left Madison at the altar. The fallout has been nuclear. Grab your popcorn. My phone hasn't stopped blowing up. Madison's sister keeps sending desperate texts. "She's losing it. Please just talk to her." You've destroyed her life. I hope you're happy. Yeah, I am happy. The same sister who was laughing with Madison about their brilliant plan is now begging me to fix their mess. The morning after the wedding, Madison showed up at my house screaming like a banshee. I recorded everything on my doorbell camera. She was pounding on my door at 6 a.m., mascara streaked down her face, still wearing part of her wedding dress, now covered in dirt, shrieking that I had no right to humiliate her like this. My neighbor Oliver called the cops, but she took off before they arrived. Remember Hannah and Victoria? Her friends who were laughing about the scam? Well, everything's falling apart in their little circle too. Hannah's boyfriend saw the video I sent out and realized Hannah had been planning the same thing with him. He dumped her immediately. Victoria's husband is now questioning their entire relationship. Their whole gold digger club is imploding. But here's where it gets even better. Remember how Madison works at that real estate office? Well, she had a complete meltdown at work on Monday. Started screaming at her coworkers when they asked about the wedding, threw a stapler at her manager's head, and got herself fired on the spot. Her boss actually called me later to apologize. Turns out Madison had been telling everyone at work that my family money would let her quit soon anyway. Joke's on her? I built my business from scratch. Now she's unemployed with $35,000 in credit card debt from all the non-refundable deposits. The video evidence I sent to everyone has been making rounds in their social circle. Her parents watched her laughing about scamming me, planning to take me for everything I'm worth. Her dad, who I really liked, called me yesterday. He was crying. Said he and her mom had sacrificed everything to put Madison through college, worked extra jobs to give her a good life, and now they can't even look at her. They're selling their vacation home to help cover the wedding debt she racked up. Madison's been posting insane rants on social media, trying to paint herself as the victim. But I've got screenshots of everything. Every time she posts some sob story, I just reply with her own words. My favorite is the video of her telling Hannah, "Thomas is just a stepping stone. Once the wedding's paid for, I'll find someone who actually matters." The best part? Her perfect backup plan is falling apart too. That rich guy she was planning to pursue after divorcing me? He saw the videos. He actually messaged me on LinkedIn to thank me for the warning. Turns out she'd already been sending him flirty DMs while we were engaged. My sister Olivia is my hero through all this. She went to Madison's favorite restaurant last night and recorded her trying to spin some story about me being abusive. Olivia just played the wedding planning video where Madison's bragging about her scam on her phone. The entire restaurant turned on Madison. She tried to throw a drink at Olivia but slipped and fell face first into a table. Everything caught on video. Now viral in our local Facebook groups. I almost feel bad about how thoroughly her life is crumbling. Almost. But then I remember sitting there at that cookout, hearing her laugh about using me. About how she was just tolerating my kisses and touch until she could upgrade to someone better. I remember every night I played along, laying next to her while she thought I was just her stupid piggy bank. Each time she kissed me and called me her soulmate while texting her friends about her exit strategy. The cherry on top? She can't even afford her apartment anymore without my help. Her roommate already posted on Facebook looking for someone to take over Madison's lease. Last I heard, she's moving back in with her parents, who can barely look at her. Her mother told my mom she's not sure she'll ever be able to trust Madison again. People keep telling me I went too far, that I could have just broken up with her normally. But you know what? Actions have consequences. She played a stupid game and now she's winning stupid prizes. She didn't just try to scam me, she tried to humiliate me, to use me as a stepping stone while pretending to love me. So yeah, I made sure everyone knows exactly who she is. I'm doing fine, by the way. Business is actually up. Turns out people appreciate someone who stands up to scammers. I've got a vacation planned next month, paying for it with all the money I saved from canceling the honeymoon. To all the people who supported me through this, thank you. I couldn't have made it through without the encouragement from friends who had my back when they learned the truth. And to Madison, who I know will probably read this someday, I hope it was worth it. How's that for a stepping stone? When I think about her face as her perfect plan backfired, I can't help but feel a sense of justice. Sometimes karma really does come back around, and schemes fall apart spectacularly. I've learned to be smarter about relationships and to pay attention to red flags. Don't let love blind you to warning signs that something isn't right. And always have receipts ready. Document everything when you suspect something's off. You never know when you'll need that evidence later. I'm moving forward with my life now. The architectural consulting business is thriving. I've reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during my relationship with Madison, and I'm even thinking about buying another project house to renovate. Something Madison always hated, but I truly enjoy. It's strange how life works out sometimes. If I hadn't gone inside for those drinks during our cookout, I might be married to her right now, completely unaware of her plans to use me and discard me. Sometimes the most painful revelations are also the most necessary. For anyone going through something similar, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And remember that you deserve someone who values you for who you are, not what you can provide financially or as a stepping stone to something they perceive as better. As for me, I'm enjoying my freedom and the knowledge that I didn't let myself become a victim. There's a certain satisfaction in knowing that Madison's perfect scam fell apart because she underestimated me. She thought I was pathetic and desperate, but in the end, I was the one who came out on top. So that's my story. From almost married to happily single in a matter of weeks. It wasn't the ending I expected when I proposed to Madison a year ago, but sometimes the plot twists in life lead us to better places than we initially imagined. Has anyone else experienced something like this? I'd be interested to hear how others have handled similar situations.